Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cisco Unplugged. I'm Dan Clamert, your host and leader of the Wireless Center of Excellence here at Cisco. And this week, in episode 29, we will be discussing actually part two, which part one was episode 12. We're going to be talking more about key performance indicators for your wireless network. And I'd like to welcome back to the show today here Francis Girard from Montreal and Ian Procyk from Vancouver. How are you guys doing today? Welcome.
Hi, Dan. Great. We're happy to be here, part of Unplugged.
A year later.
Yeah, hard to believe it. Thanks for coming back. Yep, appreciate it. So before we get going here, just a couple of reminders here. We do use Slido for questions, and we'll have time if you want to interject any of your questions. You can post those. The Slido link on YouTube is below there. You can join the Slido and submit your questions there. We do have people that are monitoring the questions to answer, and then also I'm monitoring them as well, and we can ask them live if we have time during the show today. So as usual, also, we are recording this and will be posted later to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@get unplugged. And if you also want to see an upcoming list of our upcoming episodes, you can go and to cs.co/get unplugged to see that list of upcoming episodes. We've got a lot of great content planned as well in the future. So with that, I will now turn it over and on with the show. Francis, please take it away.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Okay. Yes, indeed. So episode 12, this is like over 9 months ago. Ian and I were reviewing the KPIs that anybody that is managing a wireless network should be kind of looking at. We actually went through like something around like 20 different key performance indicators that should be monitored. Now, at the end of that session, we identified as our top five. Maybe each of you have your own top fives, but those are the ones that as a group, as a team, the Wireless Center of Excellence actually identified as being the most important ones to monitor. Now, we're not going to go and explain why or what these KPIs are, but we're going to show over the next 30 minutes or so how to monitor these. And the first one that we're going to talk about here is channel utilization. One of the most pressing one to be monitoring when you're potentially having some issues, especially in downtown areas and things like that, where you have a lot of neighbors and whatnot. So there are many ways to monitor channel utilization. You could do, an SSH into your access point and, via CLI, try to see what the channel utilization is, but not too simple to do. But then there again, there's a lot of tools out there, both hardware and software available to monitor this. Ian, you have some examples for us.
Yeah, I think a couple of videos here we can play. Just an example, we are doing things here even in engineering. A few years ago, I worked on a project with worker bridge roaming, and we wanted to make sure that the worker bridges were roaming and able to handle autonomous haulage. This was for a mining customer. And one of the key criteria of making sure that whole system worked properly was monitoring throughput and channel utilization so we could determine headroom in the system. A little clip here, you want to play that, and we'll show people what we were doing.
In the middle of the big screen, what we have going on is we are monitoring the individual vehicles. These debugs allow us to track the vehicles as they're traversing the course. So we understand which radios the vehicles are actually associated to as they're driving around, and we can monitor their progress through the course and take a closer look at individual radios as they associate to the different radios along the test track. One thing to show here, and we just have the vehicles passing by right now, is we have a net scout that's actually monitoring the channel utilization, the over-the-air channel utilization of what we have going on here in the command vehicle over by R1. The vehicles have actually roamed off of R1, so now we're seeing the channel utilization go down. But this is a graphical way for us to kind of monitor and look at what the channel utilization is over the air.
That was a really fun project, and just to kind of give you an idea what we were up to there, we actually built an entire test track at the North Carolina RTP campus, and you can see some pictures of that here. This was really cool. We built this whole test track. We drove around it. We were monitoring the channel utilization constantly as we did this, and you'll see some other pictures here just showing the kind of the vehicle. Kevin Turek was the voice you heard there, and we built this command van. And in this command van, we had the NetAli at that time, the NetScout analyzer, the G2, for monitoring this. We had all sorts of debugs. We had other third-party dashboards up there, as well as you can see Spirent Test Center. So this was actually Cisco engineering working alongside with Spirent to validate the performance of the wireless system at that time. And critical to this was channel utilization. Another example that you see here, this is a pretty cool picture actually. This is from a number of years back in Richardson, Texas, our stress and performance lab. And there's so much channel utilization in this space because this is where we test load on the system. You can actually crash your laptop when you walk in there. And the tool that you see on the right, in the next picture, you'll actually see the configuration of that tool. So this is a Wi-Fi Explorer, really common, really popular tool. One of the things you can do with this is you can turn on the channel utilization tab and column, if you will. So I'm filtering here. This is my home network, but you can see that I've got that turned on. You could sort and you can take a look at this. And this is, pretty critical. I like to say that channel utilization is the blood pressure, obviously, of the wireless network. It's a really good indication of, overall health, how much headroom you've got left, how much bandwidth you can push. People always ask, how many clients can you put on an access point? Well, it all depends on what they're doing. And channel utilization is the ultimate marker of, interference and all that kind of stuff. That said, channel utilization and these tools we've been showing you are kind of points in time, right? They're what's happening right here, right now. And I know, Francis, you were going to cover a little bit around, the tools that we have from the dashboards that look at this more holistically, right?
That's correct. Got a little bit of a demo. And the first one is using Catalyst Center. I do have one as well with the Meraki Dashboard, but let's first look at this using Catalyst Center. So I'm at the home dashboard of Catalyst Center, and I'll be going, to the menu into Assurance and go to, the health dashboard. And instead of doing this, no, why not go through directly to the dashboard and click on networking devices? And here I have a snapshot, or actually say a live view of how my network is doing in terms of access points. I see that I have some access points that have poor scores. I click on access point, and now I could see a number of KPIs that are being monitored, right? You see interference. I've got some APs with with interference issues, but we're talking about radio utilization here. So click on radio utilization. All my 10 APs are doing fine, but I've selected them, and further down on that widget, I see all of my APs, but that isn't showing me how my channel utilization is. So here I could select columns, and you see the number of KPIs available here, including CPU health and utilization, memory, and other things like that. So I'm clicking here on radios utilization specifically. Our APs, depending on model, have a number of radios. And here I'm sorting this table using for radio 1, which is the 5 gigahertz radio. And here you see that I do have some APs running with a fairly high level of channel utilization. Nothing really bad, but still a little bit warm. And I could drill down and access that access point device 360 page and get more information. So I see a timeline. I'm looking at the last 24 hours here. And I am not scoring. I'm scoring 6 right now as a health score overall because I have an interference issue. And I actually have that issue identified here in that window. Now, if I want to drill down further into the RF piece, I click on the RF, go move down to the page, and in that page, below at the bottom there, we have more information on RF. Select radio on because I'm interested in 5 gigahertz. I don't care for 2.4 that much. And now I have the graph there specifically on channel utilization for the last day. I could have picked 7 days or a specific time period. And as I mouse over it, I not only see channel utilization, but you saw there that what is causing channelization. Is it interference or other things like that? And more KPIs being monitored through this page. And all the way at the bottom, again, selecting 5 gigahertz, all the way at the bottom, I see which neighbors, this could be my own neighbor or rogue APs that are actually interfering with my AP. So I can investigate what's causing this and potentially be able to do a better job at channel management and getting away from this. Now, this was looking kind of real time what's happening. If I want to look at a broader view, I could go into AI and network heat maps. And here I'm looking at, I'm looking at months of variable. Let me move that to March. So so that I have historical information. And I'm looking at access points. And specifically right now, this is client count. But again, a bunch of KPIs that are available for you to monitor. I'm showing the list here, but we're talking about channel utilization again. So back to channel utilization. And right now, this is global, but I could pick a site. Don't want to look at 2.4. I'm looking at average, but maybe I want to look at maximums on my APs. And I click this, my page is refreshed. I see that my worst AP is doing 96% channel utilization. And I do have 17 APs, or radios, I should say, that are above 70%. So I should be investigating this. Moving down to that chart, this is where day by day I see what was the maximum channel utilization for each AP. And I could move down and I see here which are my worst APs and which one I should be investing some time into resolving, making sure that I'm addressing where the most pressing needs. Okay, so that was for Catalyst Center. We have similar functionality with the Meraki Dashboard. So moving on to the Meraki Dashboard, this is a new, fairly recent summary page for your organizations. If you haven't seen this, I find it's a good summary that's showing all of your networks. Now I'm going to go and actually select the RF spectrum page within the dashboard. And from that page, I see my APs. I'm only showing 10 out of 144 here, but I'm sorting them and I'm seeing, in the 5 gigahertz band that I do have some APs running a little bit hot. So clicking on this, getting more information, I see that my AP here, I'm going to select 5 gigahertz. I see this AP is running on channel 44. So in the spectrograph, you see there a little bit of channelization. And if I move down further, I see more information. And again, I can see what are my interfering APs on channel 44. I got 64 APs in this building interfering on channel 44. So certainly a lot of work in front of me to manage around this. Now, I want to get more information specifically for that AP, a quick search on that AP name, and I can drill down specifically for that access point. So getting on the summary page of that AP, right there, I already have some information around channel utilization at the bottom of this. Let me move further down. So I'm seeing here what the channel utilization is and what the interference is. If I mouse over 27.2%, there's a legend there on the right of that screen. And if I go down, more information in regards to how my AP is doing. Again, more than just, channel utilization as a key performance indicator viewable from this page. But if I want a little bit more, I could click on the performance tab and actually drill down on more detailed graphs of these KPIs. Let's have a look at the last month. Again, I only care about the 5 gigahertz for this demo, 2.4 is for cooking. And I see the usage. I see how many clients are on my access points, and moving all the way down, I'll see channel utilization and how everything is happening here. And I see it's been happening pretty consistently over the last month. So this is like kind of background noise. I shouldn't say noise, but Wi-Fi interference coming from other APs. The interference itself is minimal. So it's not like an external source of interference causing this. Now I'm clicking, going to AP neighbors. This is a new dashboard. This is still in beta. You see here a column for channel utilization. I'm sorting on 5 gigahertz, but if you look at there's a column there showing channel. It's all showing zeros there. It's a bit of a bug. We're working on this. This will be available to all of you soon, but I find it's better a GUI to actually access this. Now here again, showing 5 gigahertz, but I'm looking at in network. I just flipped it to look at everything. So in my network, I didn't have any APs on the same channel. But if I'm looking overall with my neighbors, I got 30 APs interfering from these rogues on the same channel, and another 16 that are overlapping. So you see this using the graphs, and then you could drill down and again see these various APs, or I should say BSSIDs, that are interfering with my system. Okay, now this is using Cisco on Cisco tools, and you saw me go and click through a number of pages to access that information. And maybe in some situations, you don't have that time, maybe for Cisco Live, maybe for the Super Bowl or whatever major events, you want to have dedicated purpose-built dashboard showing you what you want in real time. And Ian's got some example for us.
Yeah, if you might remember episode 10, Cisco Live last year in the summer, I actually had a chance to sit down, or stand up in this case, with Al and Chris in the NOC. And this is a little clip from that interview.
We dug deep into the channelization. I know we have a waterfall graph that Dave Benham created that allows us to really track that utilization over time, because it gives us a good insight of what's going on when, and we've actually done it for the whole venue. So we know when people are going to lunch, we know when people are moving in the hallways. You can see it as a trend.
Yeah, so this just highlights the fact that, and this is a really cool dashboard, and explain a little bit more later on in the resource utilization section how this kind of stuff can be done. But, it's all about understanding massive amounts of data, and we're all visual, people, right? We want to see trends, and trend analysis is really, really cool on a dashboard like this. So practical real world example. I think that brings us to our next topic, Francis, which is around onboarding. And specifically, this is a challenge, right? Because onboarding, how long does it take for a client to get onto the network? This is not something you can typically use a third-party tool for, unless you're using a packet capture and analyzing, association all the way to, IP traffic. So we have some dashboards and other things around this. You want to start us off with Catalyst Center?
Yes, indeed. Right. So this is all information coming from thanks to a streaming telemetry here. So let's start off with Catalyst Center. And again, I'm going into the hamburger menu and going into assurance and clicking this time on health and having a view of your overall health of your network devices, wired, wireless clients. And then we have this section. I'm looking at global and 24 hours, right? But we have a section called site analytics where I'm seeing right there onboarding attempts, how I'm doing, onboarding times and whatnot. I see that I'm doing pretty good generally, but San Jose is having some issues. Maybe I want to investigate this. And then further down, we got network services, AAA services, TNS, and as well as DHCP. Now, if I want to drill down further into my clients, I have a Sankey chart here specifically for my wireless clients, showing me how my clients are doing in terms of onboarding. I see that I have some devices not onboarded. I see that they are having authentication. So if I select that element in the Sankey chart, I see these two clients that are having issues. And now this is what's happening kind of lately. But if I clicked on trend, I would have been able to see over time how we're doing. Now, in that same page, what I find pretty cool here are these widgets. And I have one specifically on our onboarding times, so, other for our SSIs, SNR, as well as the roaming times. But let's go into that client onboarding time widget. And here, I'm looking at overall how my onboarding is doing, but also more specifically association, DHCP, and authentication. If I go into authentication, I see how my authentication servers are doing in the response. Are they quick enough? And I could actually select this, a specific server and see how that server is doing. And I could select exactly what I want to see here and click on trend and see over time. Now, normally, if it'd be a normal network, I'd be seeing authentication, increase over a certain period of time during the day. Here, it's pretty stable for the demo. But anyway, you see over time what's happening. Same thing for roaming. So here we see fast roaming, slow roaming, how I'm doing. Really nice little widgets that tell you overall how your network is doing, kind of pretty much right now, or you click on trend over time. But you also have the ability to go like I just did and view the baseline. And here I'm seeing all circles here represent a site, the size of the site, how many devices are there, and the color, of course, if I'm having some issues. So if I click on one of these sites, now I'm specifically looking at San Jose SJC01. I have a number of KPIs I'm monitoring. First one being onboarding time, the second one being onboarding failures. And the green is what I expect, what the system expects to be for that time period. And I see that I'm having some specific issues, between 5 and p.m. And if I click to get further details, I get more information about where, how much time it's taking, what type of devices, and if I move a little bit further down. And so this is, floor onboarding times and device type. Yeah. So if I move a little bit further down, I see the most impacted APs per floor. I see the most impacted device types and, which APs are experiencing this, all helping me into investigate further what's happening in terms of onboarding. Now we have similar widgets or tools within the Meraki dashboard. So I'm going to be showing here this. So back to that main organizational page, the new page, let me go and access in wireless and go to overview page. So we have this kind of health page that gives me information about how my network is doing. And the first one is about connection health, but then I also have performance, health and network services, radius, DHCP, DNS, and all this good stuff. All thanks to the telemetry that we're monitoring. Now, if I look specifically on connection health, I see failed clients. I see that I have 7 out of 399. I see on which SSID. I see over time how it's doing. Again, here which are most impacted APs, most impacted clients. Again, helping me to drill down and find and resolve issues. I also see maybe they connected successfully, but sometimes maybe they connect too long. And here I could, see which APs, which clients are being impacted by this. But on this network, things are running pretty smoothly. And a new feature as well that we've just introduced here is, or we're working on, I'm not sure that you have the ability to see this, is an assurance tab, giving you a view of the overall health score for that network. We're at 98%, doing pretty good. And if I click on wireless client, now I see, I'm having issues. And I could see that I'm having, 10 clients that are having authentication issues. And I could see which one are these clients that are having issues. And if I, move to the left, to the right here, I could see more information, which AP, how many failed attempts, which SSIDs, and so forth. And again, helping me to troubleshoot the issues I may be experiencing. Okay, so moving along. So those were the first two: channel utilization we just did, and onboarding times. The next two KPIs are resource utilization and bandwidth throughput. Now, as part of my demos, you saw, I showed quickly that in many of these dashboards, you can select which KPI you want to monitor. So there's no point in me going back to either Catalyst Center or the Meraki dashboard to show you these. But again, here in some situations, maybe that's not exactly the view that you want. Maybe you want multiple KPIs on the same screen at the same time. Or maybe there's some KPI or some resource you want to monitor and that's simply not displayed in these dashboards. So, and Ian has got some example for us of this.
Yeah, so this again is a Cisco Live clip here from Amsterdam, actually just back in February. And so what we're going to show in this clip is specifically what we're doing for customized dashboarding in the NOC. And if you'll take a look at this, you'll see Jerry and Jason here both talking about what we do and the custom dashboards we build for all sorts of resource metrics, right? Throughput, performance, client count, all that kind of stuff. I'll let you roll the clip.
So Jason is actually the man who builds all these dashboards behind us. We're at the Cisco NOC stand, the Network Operations stand.
Being part of the DevNet organization, I like to show the art of the possible when you use the telemetry and instrumentation that's built into our products, right? And of course, you can use the commercial tools, again, like Catalyst Center. But when you go after the APIs, when you go after the SNMP instrumentation or the NetConf or streaming telemetry information, then you can start to make wonderful new inferences about what's going on by mixing and matching and combining data that may not natively be shown that way. So being able to extract information like the amount of wireless clients, we pull this information using NetConf data straight from the wireless LAN controllers. And what's a little bit unique is that I can pull all 3 sets of wireless LAN controllers and then mash up that data into other visualizations. And if we just went by some regular commercial applications out there, we may not have that basic functionality.
Yeah, so that just gives you an example of some of the dashboards and customizations that you saw there at Cisco Live. I think the next clip we're going to show you is from back in at Cisco Live last summer. Al and Chris here again are going to go through WNCDs. This is obviously specific to the 9800 platform.
The WNCD processes on the 9800s are very important to monitor in an event like this.
Yeah.
So it's different architecture than AirOS. So that WNCD process is, these are processors that hold up the site tags. So we have 8 site tags deployed in this event, and we monitor all 8 of those site tags to make sure that we're not overrunning or having anything that would cause problems with client connectivity.
So there you go, a little bit of kind of behind the scenes as to what we're actually doing for our own monitoring purposes here. And a couple other customer examples here. If you flash it up, Francis, this is a local customer I work with all the time. They have a pretty comprehensive network operations screen, if you will, that monitors all things in their network. And this is an example of a third-party tool. This is an SNMP poller, but it can look at FLOT files and all sorts of other metrics. And what you see on the screen here is an example of bandwidth utilization. So they're charting and monitoring all the bandwidth on the top right-hand corner, that to and from their wireless network. And in the bottom right-hand corner, not a Cisco resource, but your DHCP server. They're using VLAN pooling across 20 plus subnets for their campus. And so one of the things that they want to track is the DHCP utilization and the round robining of those addresses happening effectively on the controller. And so that's what you see in the bottom right hand chart. All those different scopes, they all tracking roughly in the same direction. So that's pretty cool. We'll go to the next couple examples here. This is just another radius server, right? What's happening with your accept versus reject rate. And so we want to make sure that we understand, how the radius server is acting up, and if it is acting up during class changes. And this is another example here of just a Cabana dashboard. Obviously, this is something we could be doing in Splunk moving forward, but this is a really cool dashboard that's looking at AAA and accounting record information as well. So some pretty cool examples. And obviously the question here is, how do you start getting some of these things out of our system? And so what Francis is showing here is an example of the whole telemetry push that we've had for a number of years now in the 9800 specifically. So we have dial-out telemetry. We have, obviously APIs you can call. And a lot of this is very, very comprehensively documented. If you show the next slide here, for instance, this is an example of the 17.13 Yang models that are available for iOS XE. Obviously, not just wireless, across all of the platforms. And I just happened to pull up one of the Opera models here for RRM. And this highlights, for example, one of the things we were talking about earlier, channel utilization in both TX, RX, and overall. So another kind of cool real-world example. And then these data models can all be viewed. If you're familiar with the concept in the SNMP days of a MIB browser, the Yang suite is a software package that we make available on DevNet that allows you to browse those data models that are very complex, do searches, find what you're looking for, run some basic queries and some tests to make sure you're getting what you want out of the system. So I think that covers the resource utilization topic. And Francis, I know we want to talk about stability in the network and making sure things are, not flapping and, we're on the same channel and our power levels aren't shifting. I'll let you carry on to the next one here.
Thanks, Ian. But just before, what you just showed there, among other things, to display what the tools that, one of the diagram there you were showing that the display engine was Grafana, right?
Yep.
But we recently acquired a company called Splunk.
Splunk. Yeah.
Could we use Splunk to do these fancy dashboards?
Yeah, I absolutely expect this is going to be an area of focus moving forward for us. Obviously, post integration, and then I have customers already running custom parsers and whatnot to pull data out of the WLC and into Splunk, and a lot of our customers are doing that. I was just showing you some examples of actually from years gone by what folks were doing with some of the open source tools as well. So, there you go.
All right, cool. Thanks, Ian. All right. Last KPI channel and TX power changes. Let's first start with DNA Center or Catalyst Center, I should say. So going in the menu and going in the AI section, specifically AI Enhance RM. So going to that dashboard, I need to select a site that has AI Enhance enabled on it. So I have one specific site, and I see the dashboard right away with the summary number of APs, how RM's doing, how many channel changes and whatnot, 4 or 5 gigahertz, and more charts. And if I look over, click on trend, I could see how I'm doing, how many channels or changes are happening, and I click on view details and get some further details information. And if I click on the screen at any single point in time, I see what happened at that time slot. And then I could drill down what this AP did, changed TX power level. So that's going through directly in Catalyst Center. Pretty nice dashboard that we've introduced more recently for this. That gives you a overall view of how you're doing. So strongly for those of you that are using Catalyst Center and haven't started to adopt AI and RM, certainly recommend you guys doing this. Now, moving along to the Meraki dashboard, we actually have something coming along which looks like the same way. Now, today, if I want to see channel changes, I actually need to go to logging. I don't have a dashboard specifically for this. So I'm going to go into network-wide, go to logging, event logging, and actually do a search. Now, what am I going to search on? I'm actually going to search on AI Enhanced RM. So there we go. And I'm going to click all events and filter, and I'm going to see what's been happening here. So I don't have a nice dashboard yet showing all this, but I could see which APs have changed, power and channel over time. And I click on one of them, I get more information as to what happened exactly there. We are working on, integrating further functionality, AI Enhance RM into the Meraki dashboard, but this is how you can access it today. And if you want to have a look at this, you could using a different tool, you could download it as a CSV file. And that was the last bit of demo. We just went through all 5 key performance indicators that we've covered during episode 12. And basically that's it. Back to you, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Francis and Ian. I feel like we just went to the doctor's office and got a health checkup here, and our wireless LAN is now in peak health conditions.
And 2.4 is for cooking.
That's right. Yeah, I learned that too.
Need the t-shirt for that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did catch that too. Made me laugh. Thanks. So I don't see any other questions right now at this point. So I would like to, again, thank you guys for coming back and for going a little bit deeper into the tools here today for health checks and key performance indicators for our wireless networks. And so with that, when you do close out, if you would take a moment to give us the survey data, feedback that we are asking for, that would be great via Slido. Also, if you are interested in seeing what we've got on the docket coming up for future episodes, cs.co/getunplugged will get you that information. So tune in there. And also on our YouTube channel, if you subscribe there, you'll be notified when we do go live with new content and when we have stuff that's coming. And we've had some filler content in between on cloud monitoring for the 9800 and whatnot. So if you subscribe, you're notified when we do post that content out there at youtube.com/@getunplugged. We did also add a couple of other ways to get a hold of us here. You can always email us, getunplugged@cisco.com. You can always contact your account team. We're one of the few remaining people here to join X and Twitter here now. We're at Unplugged 80211, and then we're on Threads now as well at Unplugged Connectivity. So you can always reach us any of those means. Give us feedback, any ideas you have, or if you have any questions, we'll love to connect with you. Thanks again for your time and for tuning in. And until next time, stay connected and unplugged.